Hello, my name is Dr. Denise Charnowski, and this is this week's A Dose from Dr. Denise. It is early on Saturday morning. I'm actually recording this a day early to post it for tomorrow morning because tonight we are going to see Shania Twain in downtown Houston. I'm really excited about that. I wanted to share something this week that I think is going to touch all of you in one way. You know, I record these videos each week, and what I try to do is release a message that I think applies to all of us. And I hope to inspire you how to release your life potential, specifically with regards to health, because I'm a chiropractor, but really we all have an innate inborn wisdom within us. And when we can get in touch with that wisdom that God has given us and release that to its full potential, then life is truly blessed and joyful. So we had a really difficult decision that we had to make this week, and that's what I want to talk to you about. We have a dog, Izzy. She is 11 years old, and we have decided that she's going to be put down next week. And we've had Izzy for 10 years. We got her when she was 1. And truth be told, our dog Izzy, she's a lab, but she didn't have a lab personality. I always said she was 95% good and 5% not so good. She had some aggression, and really it was fear that was built in her. But when that fear came out, she bit and showed pretty severe aggression. So for the past 10 years, we lived in a home that had 3 acres. So I was able to really, whether it was cover up the aggression or just make do with it. Several years ago, I sent her to a rather expensive trainer because I figured put money into training or into a lawsuit. And she was much better after that. And frankly, just over the last 10 years, I looked at my dog as sort of a child that I had adopted and needed to care for. But since we got here to Texas, her behavior has gone downhill, and she's gotten more and more aggressive. And last Saturday, she lashed out at a friend that was over, and it was really a dangerous situation. So after talking to the vet, we knew, which is where she is right now, but she's going to be put down this week. And sometimes in life we have to make these really, really difficult decisions. So the point of this video is not for you to feel sad for me. My eyes are still swollen because I'm still crying over it. But the point of this particular video is that sometimes that we have to make decisions in life that are hard. Sometimes our decisions have to be made with our head, and sometimes our decisions are made with our heart or our gut. And all three are different types of decisions. You know, this decision that we're making is a decision that we're making with our head because we know it's the right decision. I don't think that this particular animal is one that can be rehabilitated, and I certainly have tried. And, you know, she's 11 now, she's not 2. If this was a decision I was making with my heart, or I would keep trying and invest more and more money into this animal. But my head tells me that that's not a smart decision. So I thought that I would share this with you today because there's 2 or 3 specific points, which is what I try to do each week, just summarize this in a 10-minute video, but 2 or 3 specific points that perhaps you can relate to. The sun's coming up over my shoulder. It's early in the morning and I'm still in my robe, but I wanted to get this recorded. So the first thing I want to share is that what I just talked about is that sometimes we have to make decisions with our head, and sometimes we have to face the brutal reality of a situation. In fact, one of my favorite books of all times is a business book called Good to Great by Jim Collins, and in there he talks about the fact that we have to face the brutal reality. And the brutal reality is that I've made excuses and I've covered up the behavior of my animal for many years, and it's been okay because, again, we never had a significant problem before. We lived on 3 acres. I was able to keep her isolated pretty much, but here I'm not able to do that. And so the brutal reality is that my dog is an accident waiting to happen, and I need to face that brutal reality and make a difficult decision with my head. But I'm not making that decision based on emotion, because if it was based on emotion, then I wouldn't be making this decision. And so that's the other point, is that a lot of times we do make decisions based on emotions. Now, in the past, talked about your emotions, and they're very important because your emotions are your GPS tracking system, if you will, to your life and your health and your body. And many times we have to watch our emotions and see where they're headed and pay attention to them because might tell us we're heading in the wrong direction. But when we make decisions in an emotional state, that can sometimes get us in a lot of trouble. There are people that are married to the wrong person right now because they've made choices based on emotions. There are people sitting in jail right now because they've made decisions based on emotions. So while emotions are excellent and they're given to us and we need to pay attention to them, they're not always a place from where to make decisions. The second thing that I want to share with you is that God will send you signals. God sent us several signals about this particular animal, but in life, God will send you signals all the time. And a lot of times we're so busy and frenetic that we're not paying attention to those signals. I've talked before about our speaking to God as like a radio channel, and when you're in tune, it comes through loud and clear, and when you're not, the channel is staticky, if you will. But God sends signals all the time. So let me give an unbelievable example to this. So we had an event last Saturday with our animal, and Steve and I knew that we were going to have to put her down. On Sunday morning, we go to church, and our new church that we've joined here in Beaumont is called North Point, and the pastor, his name is Freddie Wright, was speaking on love and Corinthians, and it was a beautiful, beautiful sermon. But in the middle of it, kind of oddly placed, the pastor says this. Now, keep in mind that Steve and I are still very raw over our decision over our animal, but we also know it's the right decision. And in the middle of the sermon, Pastor Freddie says, you know, Mark Twain says that when you have an animal that perhaps you've gotten on the side of the road that is beaten down and has been injured, and you bring that animal in and you love and care for it, that animal will never bite you. Now, he was using it with regards to love and forgiveness, but I just couldn't believe that in our most raw state, this man brought this story up, because then I leaned over to my husband and I said, but our animal does. You know, our animal literally bites the hand that feeds it. And when I heard our pastor say that, I knew that God was sending me a signal saying, you know, Denise, you've done the right thing by this animal for 10 years. And now it's time to send her spirit home, because she's really, you know, a threat there on planet Earth. So remember that God sends you signals, and we have to pay attention to those. So that's really the two main things that I wanted to share with you today. That there are times that we have to make decisions with our head, and there are times that we make decisions with our gut or our heart. Emotions will sometimes get us in trouble when we're making decisions just from an emotional base. And so if you have events coming up or things going on in your life right now, you have to recognize that some of those have to be head decisions. Are you enabling someone in your life right now, that a child, a spouse, a friend, are you enabling them because you're just continuing to follow your emotions? Perhaps you need to use your mind more and make a head decision and not a heart decision. The second point of today was that God will send you clear signals all the time, actually, and you need to clear the radio static so that you can hear those signals clearly, which is what I really try to do. Lastly, you know, there's two suicides this week of people that I didn't know personally, but I think I read a statistic that there's like 30 to 40,000 suicides a year in America. I don't know if I got that statistic right, but obviously we're really, really hurting in our nation. And the reason that I create these videos is that we just need to vibrate at a higher level, and we need to love more. I don't have the answer to these suicides, but I do know that as a planet, as a nation, as a community, as individuals, the higher we can raise our vibration with love and caring and kindness, the better we will be. And so when I ask you to share these videos, it's not for me, frankly. It's if you think that the message that I've just given is something that more people need to hear, then you should share it. So that's it for today. Have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday, and I'll talk to you next week. Peace out.